Okay, hello. I have finished reading Court of Silver Flames, and so today I'm here to review it. My thoughts on this book are double thumbs down. This book sucks. And if you've watched my other reviews of the other books in this series, you would see that I thought it was okay. I didn't love it. This book, I'm warning you ahead of time, don't read it. It's a waste of your time. How many pages is this book? I think to listen to it, the audio version, it was like 25 hours, something ridiculous. 704, oh no, that's not even the last chapter. Okay, here's the last chapter. Okay, 751 pages. 751 pages of a waste of your time. So apparently Sarah J. Maas decided that that married people are boring because I don't know, I guess she maybe couldn't think of any tension to write between the actual main characters of her book, which would be Feyre. Feyre is the main character and Rhysand is her husband. And now that they're married, it's almost like there's no more story to tell. Married people don't have interesting stories to tell. So instead, we have a massive pivot in this book where this book is actually not about Feyre really at all. Spoilers, guys, okay? You do hear Feyre gets a pregnancy story that's very Breaking Dawn, if you read Twilight. So, you know, she's pregnant with a baby, but oh no, because it's one of these magical babies, it's gonna kill her. We gotta save Feyre's life, right? But that is like such a passing, barely even a side plot of this book, okay? So just understand that. You will not see Feyre in this book hardly at all. Rhysand, hardly at all. But what you will see is Nesta, Feyre's sister, and Cassian, Rhysand's friend, the general of their military. And embarrassingly enough, at first, so what happens, Nesta, she gets in trouble because she's struggling to cope with her dad's death and she's just drinking and sleeping around, so they send her off to go work in the library and to be trained by Cassian because they decide that that's gonna help her get her act together, right? So embarrassingly enough, the tension between her and Cassian at first, I was okay with, and I texted my sister-in-law and I said, yeah, I really like so far I'm liking the dynamic between her and Cassian. Like, it's interesting to see what's going on in their relationship. And I sent that text to my sister-in-law. Right after I sent it, everybody started masturbating. And I was like, what? In the book, to be clear, okay. And I was like, whoa, texting my sister-in-law again, I take it back. They're masturbating about each other, Cassian and Nesta. And then eventually they hook up and then they're banging. And if you don't want to read just extensive pornographic detail about them banging, then too bad if you read this book, because you can't get away with it. You can't get away from it. And you might think to yourself, well, if it's a sex scene, I would just skip ahead. Well, guess what? No, you can't. Because you might very well skip ahead and casually throughout the entire book where a sex scene's not even happening, it will be referenced. It will be brought back up again and again and again and again. And almost nothing happens besides sex scenes in this book. You know, she does work at the library. She makes some friends at the library. And that's about it, other than just sex scene. It is very pornographic. excruciating detail. Who's into this? You know what? I'm not a fan of pornography, but I guess other people like it. Other people must like it because this is a very well sold book. But let's see. Okay, I'm looking at my notes now. Yeah, double thumbs down. Not worth reading. I wouldn't even recommend the whole series because of it. Because the thing is, you get into this sunk cost fallacy where you think like, well, now that because I have purchased the whole series and I've read the whole I've read, 5 books. I can't not finish it, even though it's a stupid dumb book that sucks. You make yourself read it anyways, and by the end, you think, was it worth it? And you think, no, it wasn't. Let me just escape into better books. And I don't want any book recommendations from anybody for a while. Jeez, what else should I say about this book? Oh. Once again, very Sarah J. Maas. Towards the end of this book, Feyre's gonna die. Oh no. Always at the end of her books, one of the main characters is gonna die. Oh no. But they don't. And so Feyre is giving birth early and they haven't found a remedy to fix it for her. And so that she can have a healthy, birthing experience. So she's gonna die, the baby's gonna die, and Rhysand is gonna die because of this pact apparently that him and Feyre made to like live together, die together. So they're all gonna die. And Feyre, oh no, doesn't know what to do. And I remember reading this part in the book after all 3 of those characters, the baby, Feyre, and Rhysand, have been barely in the book, and just thinking to myself, do it. Pull the trigger. Kill all of the characters. First of all, she may as well have already killed them because they weren't in the book at all. Because, like I said, they're boring. There's no tension anymore because they're married. So there's not, according to Sarah J. Maas, what she's communicating in this book is they're no longer interesting. Except for just like, let's give them a couple chapters of something super dramatic. So they were all gonna die. And Nesta saves/resurrects everybody, as will always happen. I've not read Sarah J. Maas's other series, but I can only assume that there's constant resurrections in every single book that she writes, because in this series, everybody's just getting resurrected all the time. And I don't understand why she would think that any reader would even feel a real sense of tension at the end of a book when a character's life is threatened, because we already know they're not gonna die. They might die for pretend for 2 seconds, but they will not die for real ever. But yeah, Feyre's fine, and the baby's fine, and Cassian is now mates with Nesta after they had all their horny banging that we got to feel as if we were peeking through someone's window like a little peeping Tom, watching it all. And I understand the characters have sex, that's fine, but it's the peeping Tom feeling of these elaborately written sex scenes. Why can't you just have a fade to black and then the next day? Why do I need to know all the most intricate details about every element of it? I can't believe that Sarah J. Maas wrote this. I can't believe that her mother-in-law read this. I can't believe that I read this. I wish that I didn't read this. I hope that you don't read this. Skip it. Skip it. Skip it. Skip it. It sucks. I will say I'm right now reading a book called My Steve by Terry Irwin. Beautiful story. I can't wait to review that book. It's so good. And I started reading that while I was reading this, just because I've started to, as you're reading this book, it starts to feel like, man, do I hate books? I thought I loved reading books. Why do I hate? This feels like a chore to work my way through this book. I can't tell you just the contrast between this and the Terry Irwin book, because Terry at the beginning of that book is explaining the story of her meeting Steve and them falling in love and them even getting engaged and getting married. And as Terry Irwin explains this story, it's the most beautiful romantic story that you've ever read, most romantic story ever that I've read in a book. And yet the only physical contact that she describes of them falling in love is just the way that she felt when he gave her a hug. That's as intimate as things get physically in this super romantic telling of the book. And then I go to this and it's like super porny banging all the time. And that is the way that Sarah J. Maas is trying to make you feel like how intense the characters' feelings are and their love is. And it's just interesting to see that as far as books are concerned, and I guess as far as relationships are concerned too, the physical element is not what makes the love story so romantic. It's actually the way that people feel. And you don't need to graphically describe any physical element in order to communicate how strongly people feel, and for other people to read that and understand it and even feel moved by that. So yeah, double thumbs down. Don't read it. Don't even read any of the series. There's one more book left that she's not yet published, and when it comes out, will I read it? I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I hate the whole thing. My recommendation, if you're super curious about the book, is just to just read A Court of Thorns and Roses as if it's a whole story on its own, and leave it at that. Also, what happened to Tamlin? Because in this book, Tamlin is like in his wolf form, and he's like running around all depressed and things like that. This is another book where you're getting well, almost none of it's from Favor's perspective. It's all Nesta and stuff. But to be honest, what I would have really enjoyed to see more throughout this series would be more of Tamlin. And you actually almost see none of Tamlin. And I think that the jilted ex-lover who brought her into this world in the first place would have been a really interesting perspective to see as the story continues to unfold. But turns out for Sarah J. Maas, I guess he was like a throwaway character. Just in the first book. And then he's barely present after that. In the second book, you get a little bit of Tamlin. But in this book, he's completely irrelevant as a character. So anyways, that's my review of A Court of Silver Flames. Don't read it. Do not I don't know how many more times I could say it, but yeah, it sucks, and it sucks. Okay, so have a nice day. If you're looking for a good book to read, I would recommend My Steve by Terry Irwin, or the autobiography of Malcolm X as told to Alex Haley. I need to review that book still. I've read it, but I haven't reviewed it yet. That book is amazing. That's one of the best books that I've ever read in my life. And the Irwin book is great too. Terry Irwin. Anyways, comment down below what you thought of this book. I would love to hear somebody else's perspectives. If you've read this book, did you hate it as much as I did? Of the women I've talked to who have read this book, I don't really think that any of them liked it. So, but maybe they're just saying that because they don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm into those super porny scenes. I didn't read 50 Shades of Grey. If you read 50 Shades of Grey, is this what that's like? Yeah, but tell me, did you like the book? Did you feel like there was a storyline worth pursuing in this book, or was it just a pointless money grab and a what the heck of, like, what's this author doing, and why is this story not even about the main characters? Why does she think that married people are boring to write about, but graphic details and endless sex scenes is interesting? Why does she think that? Sarah J. Maas, if you're reading this, comment down below, please. I'd love to know. Anyways, have a great day, everybody. Go read a good book.